Welcome to episode 15 of Stiff Right Hand. I'm Stu Allen, also known as the Dominator. My guest this week is my good friend, Mr. Philip Bedwell.
He once punched his mother in her mammary glands. It's angry Stu Allen of Stiff Right Hand.
Enough of that bollocks. Hello, welcome again to another edition of Stiff Right Hand. We're already at episode 15. Where has it all gone? I don't know. Right up my bum.
I remember when all these podcasts were fields.
I remember when you used to wait for your fucking introduction. Hello, that's my wife Tanya Allen, sitting there having a glass of jubbly bubbly. What are you having a glass of?
It's a medium dry white
You're doing what I do on EastEnders and just drinking apple juice and pretending you're getting all drunk.
Yeah, I am. Like when those girls had shandy flavoured lollipops on school trips and they pretend to be pissed on the back of a bus.
Oh, I used to finger them then. Those were good days.
Who says finger?
I know. Me, I love saying finger because I love the way it took your ages to drop. I love the ages to drop. My mate Marcus says it, and also so does Nathan. And so does Arash.
Well, they're all stupid, overgrown, naughty boys in your teddy bear idiot club, aren't they?
Yeah, we go around
fingering each other's bumholes, more like.
We go around kicking heads in and sticking fingers up. Lee, put a finger up a bum. It's a calling card. You never forget it. And you always know you've been fingered. So there you go.
Do my introduction.
Hello, this is my wife Tanya Allen.
I'm Erin.
Stinking of St Leonard's Bottle Alley, drinking of booze.
I'm fucking dying.
You old floozy.
Do you know what I stink of?
Success.
Oh,
is it? Fucking, you could have fooled me. Sounds like cheap fucking wine to me.
Well, each to their own.
You've had a busy evening. It's been late night.
Busy evening. I have work.
Hold on, you sit. Hush your gums.
It's been a fucking 16-hour day nearly, my fucking shift. So,
right.
Oh, come let us adore me, for I am the king.
Oh, come let us adore you, and now you're pissed.
No, I've just had like 2 sips of wine. I'm not pissed. Pissed off.
I hate fucking Christmas carols.
No.
Christmas carols are. We were talking earlier, weren't we? Because we were both thoroughly miserable this morning, and I think you said to me,
I
think I turned on the radio, and the first thing on radio this morning was Chris Evans banging on, playing fucking, as soon as it's December the 1st, everyone has to play Christmas songs.
Do you know what?
And then you said to me, what's worse than, Christmas is nice, but you said, I don't want people fucking getting in touch, going, you fucking can't have a go at Christmas, but the thing that is worse than anything to me is forced happiness at Christmas.
Yeah, when you have to pretend you're feeling the Christmas vibe when you're not feeling it. I wasn't feeling it this morning.
That's why I don't own any Christmas sweaters, because I never feel like that.
Well, I'm sat here in a Christmas sweater, and it's a fucking good one, so joke's on you.
I know, I fucking bought it.
I look fucking sick, and you are just
smell
yourself.
sick. It's just nice for those of you who can't see, which is none of you.
Hang on, let me stand up and you can describe, for their aural pleasure, my Christmas sweater.
Deadpool, isn't it?
It's Deadpool.
It's a lovely. It's Deadpool on the side and side, and in the middle.
It's a Deadpool Scandi print, if you want to be technical.
All right, there you go. And it's very nice. And of course, I bought it for you.
Yep.
So there you go, husband.
It's nice and fluffy.
Top
and
husbanding points for me. But I
Christmas
fucking hate that. And it was nice. I remember growing up in the Cotswold when I was a kid, and you'd get the carol singers. They're very top professional carol singers used to get out there as well. At the door, and they were smart enough to leave it till like a couple of days before Christmas, when you kind of did feel a bit Christmassy. Now Christmas is thrust upon us too fucking early, in my opinion.
Oh, don't start on Christmas. Christmas is lovely. Christmas is the best.
Am I wrong?
Christmas is the best and worst of people.
But it started too early.
It does start
every year. It's too early.
But I'm involved in retail, so I'm used to it now. But there's no reason for any Christmas in November. There's not. If you're one of those November tree up people, you need to fucking get a life. Wait, what the fuck? Like December. Just keep it within the month, eh? We don't have our tree up yet. I want to do it next week though.
What?
Tree up.
Put our tree up next week.
Tree up. I just wasn't fucking feeling the Christmas vibe this morning. I woke up and I was in a bad mood because of yesterday. Yesterday was annoying, and I had too much baking to do. But after a really hard day's worth of work, by about 4 o'clock, when my shop was looking fucking at its Christmas tippy toppy best, absolutely full to the brim with like lovely chocolates and candies and sweets, and all the cakes are magical and all the lights are twinkly and all the staff have got Christmas jumpers on and everyone's happy and the hot chocolates are stupid and ridiculous, and then you kind of do feel a little bit Christmassy, and it cheered me up because I was like, hang on, all this fucking slog is worth it because this is what happens at the end of it.
Sorry for those tuning in, thinking this is a wrestling podcast. I'm Paul Hollywood, and this is Baking for Dummies.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. Because you're in retail, you appreciate it more. But if you weren't in retail, then you've got to say Christmas comes too fucking early.
Yeah.
And I like the build up of Christmas. I like the fact that it goes fucking quickly. And I hate January. I might as well hibernate. January can write itself off because I'm always heavily in the doldrums January. So I don't expect much to be January. So I'm a wreck of a man. So I hate it. So I don't want anything to do with that. But
Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then the bit.
To me, the best is Christmas. For me personally, Christmas Eve, I absolutely adore it. And Christmas night, when I get to do gifts with you, it's just me and you, shut the world out, and we just do our thing late at night. We don't
have to share the day with fucking children.
Yes, don't frighten anyone. Yeah, no family, no one. Fuck off, everyone.
I'm real family.
Fuck family, eh?
I'm real family.
Yeah, I know, but everyone else can go.
More presents for me.
Yeah, and I just like we do it late at night in the evening, sit around the tree and do that. Just us two. Because that's our funny little world, and that's good.
Yeah.
But everything else, fuck off. And it's too much, man. No, it's too much pressure on families, too much pressure on individuals.
I think there's too much pressure on people to spend. Fucking.
And most importantly, you need to remember the people that haven't got anyone as well. It's fucking really important. I've got a dear friend of mine. I'm not going to mention his name because I know he does listen now and again. Who I keep inviting year after year after year to come in, and he was a well-loved at one point television celebrity, but he's a dear friend, and him at Christmas, the thought of him being on his own, I hate it, and I hate the thought of anyone being on their own at Christmas, and it's like, yeah, you might love it, you might fucking hate it, but there are some people that haven't got a fucking choice, and so if you do get a chance, drag someone in off the street as well.
Just be a bit mindful about everyone around you. I've done a Christmas by myself. That sucks. I just opened the bar. Was like, if you're by yourself, come get pissed.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is truly by themselves. But I mean, the elderly obviously as they are, and but it's just fucking hard work, man. And I think that's what I hate the most is thinking of all those poor sods that do have to do that. It's just fucking horrible. But there you go. At least we're not in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
I think that's what Bob Geldof said, wasn't it? So anyway, let's look at the news. This isn't the news.
This is not the news.
Storming a tea shop owner faces 20. We're like the new two Ronnies, but funny. Storming a tea shop owner faces £20,000 fine for looking at rival cafe. A cafe owner has been hit with a bonkers. You can tell this is from the Metro, just by the word they've used bonkers.
Just like the way the Sun uses the word romp.
Oh, I love a romp. I love a greased titty romp with loads of tit. Which says she must not even glance at a rival tea shop next door. Kerry Radley.
Oh, Kerry.
Yeah, she's a fucking...
What have you done?
Said just a mere sideways look at saucers being rattled in Prima Rosa could land her with a £20,000 fine. Tensions have been brewing after Broadland District Council in Norfolk served the 45-year-old boss of Radley's Cafe and shop with a community protection notice. The council's legal team said it had received complaints about Miss Radley causing anxiety to Prima Rosa owner Martin Nudd and his wife, accused of posting negative comments on social media, being aggressive towards its customers and staring into the cafe to intimidate the couple. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if that is a thing, then there are so many businesses in town that can have a 20 grand fine for doing the same thing to me. What they need to do is fucking grow up, because in business, if people are taking the time to worry about what the fuck you're doing, then you're doing something right. And if people are taking the time out of their day to talk about you and have to chip you down online, then you're doing something right. So keep your head fucking down and carry on doing it. I worry about, oh no, Susan keeps looking at me through the window and I can't bear it and it's causing me anxiety. You can't work with the fucking public if you're that fragile and shit.
Yeah,
like
why are you working with the general public?
Also running into everyone's like, oh, we'll have a cafe, it's a nice easy job. Is it? Fuck. If you have a successful cafe, it's not an easy job. It's one of the fucking hardest, most stressful jobs in the world. So, behave yourselves. You're all a bunch of... I thought you said this was a wrestling podcast anyway. This is like...
This is my news item. That's my news item. I'm sharing things with the world.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm helping people.
You're having a conversation. You're bringing everyone in. You're involving everyone.
Yeah, I'm involved. Well, I was until you just shat on it.
Oh, well.
But there you go. I thought you'd have something to say about that because you get that a lot, don't you?
Oh, do you know what? It used to really, really bother me, and like the copying thing used to bother me. But if the strongest thing that anybody can put out, like tonight, so the strongest thing anyone can put out is gimmick hot chocolates that I've been doing for fucking 6 years, then, do you know what? Come at me, because you can copy my ideas, but you can't own my imagination. Always going to be one fucking step ahead. Where? Keep your eyes on your post for your 20 grand fines, assholes.
Well, yeah, they're always trying to nick your ideas and trying to... You're the Willy Wonka of your generation, aren't you?
What's fucking cool is Danielle, who is a lovely lady who was on this podcast.
Friend of the show,
friend of the show, Danielle. She came back to Wednesday. And her little brother at pastry school is learning something that I invented.
Pastry school?
Yeah. Oh, it's his catering course or whatever it is.
People laugh at me because I went to a wrestling school and there's a pastry school.
Of course there fucking is.
Well, there you go. That's what I said when I got mocked up for the wrestling. Cunt.
But he's learning how to do those Malteser Robin things that I invented. That's my invention from 5 fucking years ago. Yeah. How berserk is that? She's like, oh, look at this thing he's made. And I was like, I invented that.
Does that mean you're the Voldemort of pastry school?
Yeah, I'm the...
I just said it.
Voldemort. There you go.
Crappo.
I hate myself.
MI5 falls Islamic terrorist plot to kill the Prime Minister. This is brilliant. This is...
I am James Bond.
You're about as much James Bond as these guys are terrorists, because they were charged with planning to use improvised explosive device to blow up the gates of Downing Street before entering number 10 and making an attempt on Theresa May's life. Like, it's that easy, guys. This to me had all the hallmarks of that film. What was it called? Four Lions. With the Robert Dingy Rapid Roll.
Derma Squat Dogs.
Hello, Fessel. It had all the fucking hallmarks of that, because not only were they just going to, with 2 little poxy homemade bombs made out of chapati flour, going to blow up the gates of number 10, they hadn't thought that then you've got a 200-yard dash down Downing Street. You've got to avoid all the police and obviously number 10 cat, who's quite feisty. Yeah. And then she might have not, after all that, even if you do get a number 10, she probably ain't going to be there anyway.
They were just going to blow open the gates and she's going to be like, hello, I'm the Prime Minister.
Knock on the door. Hello, Prime Minister, Nick, can you open the door? We've got a curry for you. Yeah. Hello, did someone order? Yeah, no, sorry guys. Shit terrorists, rubbish. Try harder.
Do you not think improvised explosives always makes me laugh a little bit, because it reminds me of those like crappy improvisation drama groups. So it's just a man miming in an explosion.
Oh, like Marcel.
Like, whose line is it anyway?
Whose jihadi is it anyway? What?
Do you know what we've done?
What?
The show.
What show?
We've done our academy show since we've last spoken to these.
What with all this gayness going on and high tea and shenanigans, we've forgotten to mention our show. Our lovely show, which we were discussing over the last 2 weeks and getting you all to come to. Well, thanks a lot, you all did come.
Thank you for all of you for coming and seeing our stories.
You cunts. So no, it was really nice. We had a wonderful show. The first time we ever have done, well, for my near 17 years of teaching, I've always wanted to do an academy show with our students. Only now have I managed to find the right crew to do it with, and we decided to put it on, not at our usual enormous venue in Hastings, but at the Battle Memorial Hall, which holds 300. We sold it out easily. The guys and girls put on a show. In
December as well.
Yeah, and it was in December as well.
In December.
And it was fucking awesome. It was the first time wrestling's ever been on. It's quite a little market town. First time wrestling's ever been presented in Battle. It was very well received.
Well, it's not a market town, is it? It's a historical town.
Oh, whatever. So you, all right, tourist info.
Well,
but they're fucking banging on.
Know a little bit more about where you live.
I don't know who I am or where you are or who anyone is.
I don't know what a country is.
I don't know what a town is or where a shop is or where a Folman. The bottom line is that all the guys and girls did a fantastic job, and I was incredibly proud of them. Some had been on our shows before, some hadn't, but they all worked fucking hard, and it was an opportunity for the whole point of the show was Because, we've got such a big roster now, we haven't got room to get everyone on the big shows. So we wanted to have an opportunity for the younger guys and girls who might not have that opportunity to show their talents and learn. And it's all very well. There's only so much I can teach down at wrestling school, but to actually be able to put into practice what I teach in front of a live audience, so we can get to see how they work and their strong points and weak points, and watch all back with them and get them to learn. That was very important. But we've done it. We've got it under our belt now, and there's going to be many more to come, isn't there?
Well, I hope so, and we've got one signed up for February definitely. So I want to do a couple next year.
Well, I'd like to get 4 in next year.
Well, fucking hell.
Yeah, that's what I thought the plan was. I'd like to get 4 in around our big 2 shows. And after the response we got for that, I don't see that should be a problem.
It's nice seeing you enthused about it, I have to say.
It was great. It was one of the bells. I was talking to people earlier about it. People at the gym were asking all about how it went and that they couldn't make it, but interested to know how it went. It was, like I say, I got as much of a kick out of not being part of that show and sitting there watching it as I did of participating on my own shows. In fact, I probably enjoyed it a bit more. It was one of the proudest moments of my life, and getting to be there and watch the guys and girls. It was extraordinary. I
had people talking to me tonight about that show, and the thing with Lucha Len's mask was brought up to me. The thing that one of them was talking to me about me and Cinders. One was talking to me about Maddie Almighty, and because her mouth was bleeding, and because I came and I was like, I actually cared about somebody. They thought she was really hurt.
It was an extraordinary night, really, and it was lovely. And the guy just watching their little happy faces and that, knowing that crowd were there for them. It was lovely, and thoroughly proud.
Jolly good show, boys and girls.
Jolly good show.
Thanks to all of you that came along and supported our babies. It means a lot. So we'll put you down for the next one, shall I?
Yes. So there you go. So now I suppose we'll have a little bit of American wrestling news from over the pond, as they say, with little man Dan. He's here, and he's got some news. So let's have it. Let's have it, little man.
Giving you your weekly dose of a kick in the nuts, this is Stiff Right Hand.
Back on the Stiff Right Hand podcast once again. Hey, it's time for the Wrestle Wrap Up, but if you want a little bit more, go to youtube.com/Wrestle Wrap Up for all the latest news in the WWE and the wrestling world, and also next year, brand new top 5 videos. I'm looking forward to it. Go over there, subscribe to the channel. But getting on with the news, starting off with Impact Wrestling. It's been reported that Johnny Impact has signed a new deal with Impact Wrestling. However, the deal means he can still appear at Lucha Underground. But there's many rumours going around that with Impact Wrestling moving to Canada, we could see a lot of talent leaving the company and more Canadian wrestlers coming into the company. Only time will tell with who'll be staying, who'll be going. If you look at who's left Impact Wrestling Global Force this year, the list is crazy huge. I won't talk about it now, but the list is insane. Go have a look, go Google it. But from Impact Wrestling to a company here in the UK, you may remember What Culture Pro Wrestling is now called Define Wrestling. They've signed a new wrestler, a 6-month deal, that being with Austin Aries, who left the WWE earlier this year. It's been revealed that he has recently signed a 6-month deal with the promotion, and it could be that we're going to have him exclusive. I'm not too sure, but that is big news. At least Austin Aries won't be heading back to the WWE, at least within the next 6 months. Looks like he will be very heavy UK based. But what is going on in the world of WWE? What is going on with Nia Jax and Enzo Amore? That felt a little bit out of nowhere. This monster, Nia Jax, kind of falling for Enzo Amore. Well, Dave Meltzer discussed this angle on a recent installment of Wrestling Observer Radio and explained that this is going to be a comedy romance angle with the two that will play out on WWE TV. Now, Dave Meltzer mentioned that the reason WWE is doing this angle is because they need something for Nia Jax to do whilst the new NXT talents get over on the main roster. With that, we could also be seeing Nia Jax appear on 205 Live. Back in the past, they had people like Alicia Fox and Sasha Banks appear on 205 Live. It looks like it's Nia Jax's turn for her to appear. But the final bit of news, RVD, there's always talks, will he be back wrestling for the WWE? Well, the Blast revealed legal documents in RVD's ongoing divorce with his wife Sonya that he's no longer able to perform for the WWE due to a concussion that he suffered last year. Now, according to these documents, RVD suffered a concussion that caused visual impairment and has disqualified him from working for the WWE. Apparently this happened November 16th at a PCW show against Pentagon Jr. So we won't be seeing RVD wrestle for the WWE anytime soon. Probably the next time we'll see him in the WWE will be when he's in the Hall of Fame, more than likely. But let me know your thoughts about all the news over on Twitter. Follow me at WrestleWrapUp. Go subscribe, youtube.com/WrestleWrapUp, because that's a wrap.
Read all about it. Doug Williams smashed in Scarlett's Minky.
Right, so back on Stiff Right Hand now. Before we go to my interview with Phil Bedwell, got a few questions from readers.
Alright, so I've got a question from John Sell.
Hello, John.
He'd like to know your thoughts on such companies like 5 Star and WCPW/Defiant, who fill their cards up with big money imports and only a few UK guys.
I don't know if I think I've heard of 5 Star. I think they were trying to do crowdfunding. The other guys, I'm not for it. I'm not a big fan of just pure, loads of imports and scant British guys, especially at the moment. I can understand it. I could have understood it 10 years ago. I can't understand it now because we're the best wrestling in the world, bar none. Literally bar none. And I don't understand it. We've got some of the best talent. Yes, some of our talent's gone abroad, but we've got an enormous wealth of talent over here. But bring in 1 or 2 guys maybe. You don't need to bring in so many. It's the equivalent of a Make-A-Wish Foundation for little boys promoting it. So like Dear Flatliner said years ago, he got chosen to wrestle the likes of Rikishi, Steve Kern and all these top stars. He got chosen by promoters to wrestle them. He didn't fucking start his own promotion and bring them over. I've got to get to meet so and so. Oh god, I got to meet fucking whoever the fuck. Do you know what I mean? It's just bullshit. It's it's Make-A-Wish Foundation shit. And I've got no time for it. We've got enough British talent without that. Next. Neil
Cunningham would like to know, do you agree with gimmick pay-per-views, and what would you do to make them better?
I assume by that you mean
guess like TLC or Elimination Chamber.
I wouldn't want I think that with pay-per-views in general there needs to be less of them. I don't think there needs to be so many. We've got enough wrestling because of the network. You can get your hands on literally anything. New Japan TV, you can watch whatever you fucking want nowadays. You don't need we're bombarded with pay-per-views, and if you're going to do a pay-per-view like that, do it fucking properly. Bring back the blood. If you're going to do things like war games like they did the other week, bring back the blood. Bring back the fucking not everything needs to be hush but make it mean something. Things like TLC, Hell in a Cell, there should be bloodbaths. If you're going to otherwise it's just jackass, isn't it? Otherwise, make it mean something, make it brutal. And probably don't have every single match as it as well.
I fucking hated when TNA used to do that with like the cage, when the whole show was in the cage. Like, because now it's the main event, and I've literally seen every cage spot that there is.
Yeah, it means
every single one.
It means nothing. There's only so much you can fucking do there, and you can tell a story in a cage, but let's have it done properly. Next.
Right, well, some fucking some no-mark I've never heard of called Daniel Curtis.
I know Dan sent a whole bunch.
Yeah, he sent you.
He's a right little troublemaker.
He sent you 9. Do you know why? Because he loves you.
No, that's because he knows he wants me to cunt someone off. That's why he's a naughty little boy.
He is a naughty boy.
Very sport naughty boy.
Toy boy with his toy questions.
Apparently he's got a podcast.
Has he?
So he says.
I never heard of it.
I've never heard of it neither. He never had me on it, so as far as I know. Bullshit.
Can't afford you, probably.
Little bongo boy.
Yeah.
Sitting there drinking his bongo, fingering his bum.
Yeah, drink your... Oh, fingering. Still going on about fingering.
This episode's going to be called Fingering.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, do you want to know what this little butt cloth wants to know?
Go on.
Alright, Crusher Curtis, number 1. Why do promoters book... Why do promoters book people on arse kissing and not on talent?
Oh,
well, some do.
Yeah, no. Because I don't know. I've no idea, do they? I know there's a shitload of arse kissers out there. There's some people recently who I thought better of, man, who I'm not going to name. Obviously, I ain't going to name names because they are actually good friends of mine, but I've seen some guys do some horrendous arse kissing lately for bookings, and it's like, whoa, you're so much better than that. Don't do it. You know, I've certainly now, I can tell you categorically, I've never booked anyone like that. Be polite, you know, you don't need to be subservient, and you don't need to... You know, you don't need to fucking have some dignity, man. I've never kissed ass for a booking, and you know, you know, but by all means, get out there, be your own agent, and everything, but don't do that. I mean, it's quite demoralising. It's very degrading. There's you know, there's one thing. You know, we have to dress like cunts and go out there dressed like fucking spare pricks at a wedding and to wrestle. Do you know what I mean? That's degrading enough without having to kiss ass and suck dick at the same time. Next.
Do you not think, I want to weigh in on this, like, do you not think that also it's not even just about only talent as well, but who's going to be an asset in the locker room as well? Because there have been plenty of talented guys that we've worked with that have been locker room fucking poison. I was just like, I'm thinking of one specific car journey all the way home, and I wanted to kill about 3 of them.
I have people around me who are good people. I have people around me who I know can open the show, who can be in the middle of the show, who can sell merchandise, who can tell a story, who can sell my main event for me. But more importantly, are all really good and really helpful to my students and help bring my guys up right. I have and everything in between. But I don't have any locker room poison, I don't have any gossipy shit, I don't have any political shit, and I don't have any time for any of that. And there's a lot of shows. That's why I don't do many shows anymore. That's why I work for, you know, I've had a couple of offers recently to go and do some shows in Europe, and you know, and we might do them. But I've mainly worked for Brett Meadows and Ricky Knight, because those are the ones with the locker rooms that where I can shut myself away and get on with my own shit without having to get involved in bollocks. Everywhere else is too it's too clicky, man, and I don't, you know, and it's too. I just haven't got any time for all of that ass kissing and bullshit politics.
Well, it's about being around guys that want to put over the show as well, rather than just themselves.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, alright. So, why are so many trainee wrestlers concerned more about looking cool by getting their shit in, by doing super cool indie flips, than entertaining the crowd with a good story told match?
This comes in nicely into something which I need to talk about. We have just been approached by the Elsinore Academy to be represent the Elsinore Academy as Elsinore Wrestling Academy Sussex. We're representing the whole of Sussex. That isn't just East Sussex, that's the whole of fucking Sussex.
It's ours.
It's all of ours. And so if you want to come learn things the Elsinore way, you come through us now. This is all done through Luke Dutton at Slam. He's teaching his guys the right way. He's one of Elsinore's main trainers. He's teaching kids the right way. He's teaching them the professional way, not only how to get into business, but how to look after yourself for real, how to fight, how to freestyle, how to wrestle amateur, and also how to be a businessman, how to look after yourself. Every facet of wrestling that you need to know, it's all been dealt with there. That's what we're going to be doing. There's not enough wrestling schools like that, and that's why we've been chosen to be one of them. That's why there's too many schools out there which are learning the wrong way.
That's because these fuckers are getting rich off people that want to learn wrestling, teaching them badly, and then using that money to put on shows that nobody attends.
There's some utter shit out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some wonderful stuff out there right now too. There's some real great stuff out there. But the reason why a lot of the kids are getting hot now is because they're people are watching Lucha Underground, and if anyone came to my wrestling school and wanted to learn to do fucking 619, or they'd be slapped upside the head good and proper, fucking Dr. David Schultz style sent fucking packing, man. It's as simple as that. We don't stand for that. The sign above the door is wrestling. You learn to wrestle. You start from the ground up. If you don't like it, if it's not moving fast enough for you, go home. That's that.
Yeah.
Next.
I know. Right, another thing that Crusher wants to know is putting on a good promo becoming a lost art? Don't see that many decent promos nowadays, and let me read this in his voice, and that makes me sad.
No, it's right and it's true, and sadly the answer is yes. But again, going back to wrestling school, that's one of the things we teach. We have a bottle of water in the middle of the ring. Tom picks a bottle of water up and just tosses it till we got a big group of guys stood in a circle, throw it to you, bam, cut a promo, bam, cut a promo. They'll feel a bit silly, wait till you're dressed like a cunt fucking in front of 1,000 people, then you tell me you feel silly.
It's way fucking harder to do it that first time in front of your brothers and sisters at fucking training school.
But the answer to the question is yes, it's a loss. I can't remember the last awesome fucking promo I heard. I still love watching the old stuff. Obviously, everyone talks about, my favourites of obviously Kevin Sullivan, Jake Roberts, people like that. Having his say Ultimate Warrior couldn't cut a promo. Yeah, he fucking could. He cut a fucking awesome promo, and you always fucking remember them. You might not have understood them, but they were fucking awesome, and they were entirely unique. If you can cut a unique promo and do stuff that no one else is doing, then good for you. But fucking work on it, and I urge all people who are running wrestling schools, teach that shit. Because, like Dan said, it's a lost art and very fucking important. Next.
How many have you fucking sent in? I'm getting a
He doesn't let him send them. That's what this is. This is a forum for me to say what other people don't want to say.
To his podcast, then he could cover on.
No. Some people listen, toots. So I've got nothing to lose in this wrestling business. I've been doing this for fucking many years. Some people out there want to say things they can't say them because they got bridges. They don't want to burn bridges. I can say them because I don't give a fuck. All right. That's what this show's all about.
We'll burn those bridges for you, sweetheart. Don't worry about it. Right, you ready for number 4?
I've been ready for ages. You're the one blabbering. Go on.
If the Dominator was locked away in a prison cell for a year, which 3 male wrestlers would you choose to share their cell with, and why?
I'd know the reason. I'd know the wrestlers who would be the cause of me being in fucking jail. Easy.
Christopher Mans.
Yeah, it'd be Flatliner, John Key, and Phil Bedwell. Just because, and the reason why is because Flatliner, behind the bravado, is a very kind, very intelligent, kind, funny man who I can relate to very, very well. John Key is like the young me, and Phil is like the older me. And Phil would bring a sense of calm and probably end up getting cannibalised.
Well, he's either going to get raped or cannibalised.
Probably both. But I want Phil there. So I can fuck him and then eat him.
Oh.
But no.
You like him.
You really like him. No, Phil should be there to restore a sense of calm and order. And to.
I don't know that he can do in that mix.
No, but those are my 3.
Okay,
next.
Fine. In your opinion, who are the top 5 worst wrestlers that are on shows today, and why?
Jesus.
I love this question.
Oh, you didn't say what fucking country.
Oh, okay, Nigerian wrestlers.
Oh, well,
you know what?
Sunny Wonder. I hate it.
You know what he's asking. Let him have his sweets. Go on. You wanted to do these questions. Let him have them. Let him have his.
Oh man, that's difficult, man. Because I don't. Let me have a think. All right.
Can Dean Ambrose be one?
Dean Ambrose is up there. They're right at the top. Hate Dean Ambrose. You're sloppy. You're shit. Your work sucks. Your fucking gear sucks. Your promos suck. You're shit.
Not to mention contrived.
Fuck, he must give a good blowjob, that guy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make 5. Oh God.
Play-Doh.
Yeah, Play-Doh. You Scottish motherfucker. You suck. You suck dick, I hate you, you're everything that's bad. Everyone says, but he fucking draws, yeah, he fucking does most of his fucking work up in fucking Scotland, where the biggest draw is the fucking Dole queue, but he wrestled in TNA, yeah, but he don't draw in TNA, fuck off. Grado. Who else?
I just gave you two.
Yeah, I'm trying to fucking think. I'm trying to think of the UK indie scene and who I don't see. I don't get to see much of the fucking new stuff. All the guys on the shows we do decent shows. Who's really fucking... oh, man. I hate Rocco Casanova because...
Do you remember the time he was doing that promo that was too long?
Oh man,
how angry he would get.
Brett Meadows put me on with this guy called Rocco Casanova, who's just fat, greasy. He's the definition. He's just as disgusting. He looks like fucking Bastian Booger. And Brett put me on in this new venue, which hadn't been fully built, and it looked like Takeshi's Castle. And I was cold. I was fucking freezing. My penis was inside my body. It was cold. And he went out there and he was on the microphone. And he did the Jerry Lawler shit. You shut up. No, you shut up. No, you shut up. And I was like, if every fucking minute longer I'm here, brother, you're getting hit harder and harder. I went out there and punched that motherfucker in the face, man. Oh my god, he stuffed me! David, you're still breathing. Shut the fuck up. I wanted to kill that cunt, man. Yeah, he's on the fucking...
Well, he says wrestlers, so let's chuck it open. Let's have two girls and all. Oh, come on, there's some fucking doozies of some bad ones.
But I don't want to... None of the Bellatrix girls.
No, don't. They're my sisters.
Yeah, there's some
even the rotten ones.
Yeah, but there's some good girls on those shows, and to be honest, those girls shows are better than the guys shows, in my opinion. Oh fuck, who are you gonna say?
Say this guy.
What, Dan Curtis?
Yeah, say he's one of them.
No, I love Dan.
I quite like him as well, but just say he's one, just for argument's sake.
No, Dan is he's a new guy. No, he's one of our roster boys.
I know, I like him, but you must pay.
No, I can't honestly. I don't like.
Dolph Ziggler. He's one. The shit. He's well shit.
Yeah, but he's mainstream again.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I know, but he's shit.
Yeah, British girls. Again, I don't really fucking think. I think most of our girls on the UK scene are good. There's room for improvement in all of them, but I don't think there's anyone that stands out as being absolutely horrid. I mean, I know dear old Bacardi. She's fucking. She's a lovely girl, but she knows I'm not a fan of her work, and she's.
I think that she is doing a bit of retraining.
I hope so, because she's.
I have been made aware of that, and if that's the case, then fucking good on you,
I hope it's right, because I've said to her before, so I want you to go back to wrestling school. You're taking on too. There's a lot of people, not just girls. There's a lot of guys out there who are taking on too many bookings when they really should be spending more money at wrestling school. There's no way I would have got ever out on shows and worked for Max Crabtree and people like Brian Dixon if I hadn't have been ready. And obviously we're always learning. We're always trying to learn anyway. But I really hope she's going back to wrestling school or doing something like that. That would be nice.
Well, you can't move forward if you're just like constantly working with people that aren't better than you as well. Like,
yeah, if you're not wrestling, if you're just wrestling, if you're shitting your wrestling shit, everything's going to be shit, isn't it? You're not going to improve. I don't know. I think I'll probably leave it at that on that one because I've kind of run out of. Dolph Ziggler's a fucking Kurt Hennig wannabe, so fuck him too.
Okay, next question, Mr. Mike Waters.
Oh, Bulk. Hello, Bulk.
He'd like to know.
This is going to be nothing serious.
He'd like to know: is there actually ham in Hamlet?
Right now, listen. Me and Bulk used to send stuff to each other like shed and rodent and stuff like that, and he's always said ham loaf. And we went to Holland. We were in Holland. I think we did a show. We did a tour over there. And he actually, for a rib, grabbed a kid and said, mate, because you gave me some ham loaf. And the kid actually did come back with ham loaf. So, there is ham in ham loaf, and lots of it. Good quality ham. Next question.
Any matches in both your careers that you expected to be a walk in the park and turned out to be the drizzles and vice versa? From Mr. Mark Paz Parry.
Oh.
All of them.
Yeah, my first match with Phil Bedwell. What do you mean all of them?
I meant for me.
My first match with Phil Bedwell, we thought we just didn't gel at all. He was trying to do all his slappy thigh magoo shit, and then that just didn't work. It was horrible. It didn't gel, which is why I was so glad I had one of the best matches of my career with him later on down the road in the cage. So that was funny. Match I thought would I can't really say. I've been probably the one that I'm probably the most disappointed in, actually, saying that, is my retirement match with Charlie Reg. I worked really well with Charlie, and we always gelled really well. That night we were both well off. We were both heavy, we were both lumpy, we both potatoed the fuck out of each other. we didn't work well together. The finish stunk, and then I felt dreadfully bad about it because it was his retirement match, and he said he felt bad because he didn't give me a good enough match. And I thought, dude, I'm not the one retiring. I felt fucking horrible. It was to me. It just felt. Ugh. I felt like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Do you know what I mean? So that, and just matches that I didn't think when I worked for Sanjay that I was going to do a good match with Ricky Hype, who went on to win The Apprentice. Ricky Martin. We actually did a couple of great matches for LDN, and again. Probably the tag team, the Welsh, not the Welsh Assembly, Project Future. Those two boys. I'd seen a couple of their bits on TV and I thought they were alright, but then when we worked, they made me look $1 million. They were fucking pinging around all over the place for me. So thank you to them if you guys are listening. I thought those guys were cool. You?
I was going to agree with the.
Becky James, by the way, is on that fucking list from earlier. Absolute dog shit.
She's not a current worker.
I don't give. She never was. Shit. Sorry.
I don't know, because I don't try not to have any preconceptions. I was just like, I didn't think me and Phil the first time we wrestled was going to be any good. And when you find an opponent that you've got natural work chemistry with, that's fucking great. And that's always been the case with Phil. We've always been able to absolutely knock it out of the park. But I have been pretty. Every time I know it's going to be a bad match, it is a bad match. So maybe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That proves you're the fucking problem, man.
I'm the problem in most situations.
True. Next question.
Dave Dunmore would like to know, when is General Information going to debut?
What? Who the fuck's General Information?
I don't know. Is this something to do with you, Cinders?
Oh, it's one of Johnny Moore's mates, is he?
Yeah, so a bit of Johnny banter, that one.
So when is General Information going to debut?
Well, I don't know. Now I want to know. Who is he? I need to know more.
I don't care. He sounds fucking awful. Right, with that, let's get over now to my interview with the man, the legend, the god, Mr. Philip Bedwell.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth, you cock jazz. This is Stiff Right Hand.
Right, I'm back here on Stiff Right Hand with my co-wanker, Mr. Liam Dow.
Hello.
And I'm here with one of my oldest friends in the wrestling business. He's been with EWW pretty much since its inception in 1998. When we rescued him from the dreaded Hammerlock. Hello, Phil Bedwell.
Hello there, Stuart.
How are you?
I'm doing rather well, thank you very much.
We're just off the back of our Academy show, which is our first ever Academy show at the Battle Memorial Hall. And you were there. Liam was commentating. Phil, you were very kindly doing the sound. You did a splendid job as well, sir.
I am now actually a sound engineer and a tech buddy now as well. I've learnt new things.
You did a good job. I fucking paid people $1,000 to do worse than you did tonight.
What? I didn't know. We didn't discuss the fee. Probably better than my wrestling.
It went really well, didn't it, though?
It was a really, really good show, top to bottom. Tremendous tag match on there. Really receptive crowd. And yeah, just everything that I became a fan of wrestling for, basically, I saw tonight. Good, strong characters, emotion, a little bit of everything, and a tight show that runs to time, which is really important as well. Everything builds towards a show as opposed to builds towards trying to get their shit in or get in.
And it was nice as well, because they weren't a smarky crowd. They were, in fact, a lot of them wrestlers that have been in battle before, so a lot of them weren't our usual crowd, but they were still well up for it. And like I said, they were an easy crowd as well. There wasn't any leg slaps and all that shit. It was solid wrestling, and I thought all the guys and girls did really well. They were on there with some more seasoned professionals to for want of a better word, babysitting. But I thought the whole thing, top to bottom, was great.
I don't think they needed it though. Quite frankly, the babysitting in some ways, I think they've really shone out and really proved that they could hold their own in some ways.
I think, I did that as a starting point to give them a bit of
course.
Just to help them along a bit, but I think we'll sort of phase that out in time, and hopefully they'll be good enough and more confident enough to do it. But like little things like, it helps them to do the little nuances that we need them to do on the bigger shows, like crowd work and things like that, which they often forget. That I thought selling wise and G-Up wise tonight was good.
It's what makes you a red light performer at the end of the day, as I call it. It's like you can do everything you want in training.
You're a red light performer.
I have been known as a red light. But you see people who are amazing in training, and then they get to a show and they just freeze up. Similarly, you can see someone who's rotten in training, and then they get to a show and they just know they have that natural connection with a crowd. And it's a testament to you guys and the training that you're giving them, that no one seemed lost out there. Everyone seemed to know what they're doing. Everyone seemed to want to perform and work towards that crowd.
And it's an old cliche, but it's true. It's harder to work a small crowd, which is what they had tonight compared to our larger shows, which if they can get that crowd going in battle, they can do it.
It's funny, a lot of them have made their debuts in front of like 1,000 people. It's like, look guys, you're never going to fucking do this again. So it was funny to see some of them were more nervous about working a smaller crowd, which, as we know, is 90% of the time.
It leaves you a bit more exposed out there as well.
That's what it is.
Yeah, because what's your smallest crowd? I'm going to ask you a question. I'm turning the tables.
Our smallest crowd, probably one of the Herne Bay ones, where we'd rinsed it dry, and probably when you were on it. In fact, I blame you for that.
I blame you for
it. It was the TV taping one we did.
Okay.
With you and Marty Skull, I think, so that was probably about 100, but it wasn't great.
What's the smallest you've ever worked?
I've been really lucky, and I haven't ever, probably that, or probably one of the shows I've been, I had to go to do in Germany, which was fucking massively fucking advertised, but it drew fuck all. I flew all the way to Germany, and probably in front of about 70 or 80 people. But again, I've been lucky there, because I know some people have fucking.
I worked 5.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be the lowest. I've worked 10 in my debut.
I worked 5, and as a heel, just went out and went, "What? Why are you still sitting there?" It was ridiculous.
I was chatting to a guy who came last week. He came to our training school, Michael Burrow. He was the lead singer of a band called Raven Age, and he brought his girlfriend down, who is Girl Dynamite from AAA.
Okay.
To do some training. We were talking about, he's never seen wrestling before, and he was intrigued about the crowds, and he'd said he'd open up for Iron Maiden in front of 30,000 people. And then he went and did a gig in, funny enough, Germany again the week before, which the PR guy hadn't fucking done his job properly, in front of 15. And it reminded me, do you remember we were talking about a big day out in Milton Keynes? I remember standing there in front of Ministry, and there was probably about 10 of us.
Oh, yeah.
We're watching fucking Jorgensen and that, tearing it up, and it was like, fucking hell, watching Ministry in broad daylight and with nobody.
Weirdly, I went to Download a few years ago, and it sounds weird, Limp Bizkit started with a crowd of about 1,000, but they were so up for it and got people up on stage to sing, and by the end of it they must have had about 10,000 now. I'm not joking. Marilyn Manson similarly I think he had done it purely for contractual obligations. He had 2 little midgets on stage with him holding a big... Is midgets acceptable? Small people?
Yeah,
okay.
Everything is on this show.
Fair enough.
Forgot we were there.
Oops. And with A4 sheets just saying etc. TC on it, and he would get through the first line of a song and then just go going, etc., etc., and throwing these bits of paper into the crowd. Started with 20,000 people.
I saw him do the same thing at Brixton Academy.
Yeah, it was just like he just couldn't. He had an Iron Maiden t-shirt on, and he had the oxygen tank on stage with him as well.
That's right.
He couldn't make his way through a whole song. It was pretty depressing.
I know the feeling. I wish I could. In fact, I'm not going to have any more valets. I'm just going to bring an oxygen tank
with a wig on.
Fuck me, I've done worse.
That's a gimmick. That's getting.
There's an oxygen tank to me.
But anyway, let's talk about you, Phil. I've known you for a long time. How did you get into it, and then the lead up to when you came to it for EWW? Because I can't remember it very well.
Yeah, there's the concussions with me and you kicking in. Right, so how did I start off? I started off, my dad used to take me to Walthamstow assembly halls.
Good venue.
And Haystacks. One of my first memories is Haystacks getting into the crowd, and apparently it was a work, but got into the crowd and punched a punter who threw a pint of beer at him. It was Haystacks versus Pat Roach. I remember that.
Awesome.
Match. Clearly. But it was going through a point at that where wrestlers would go and do the job and then just come and sit in the crowd after the matches. And I always wanted to speak to them, but they seemed like, I just want to go and say hello, but I couldn't. And but that stuck with me. And then someone said, I've got this video, and it was WWE or WWF then. And I remember who struck with me. It was definitely. I always remember the ring ropes and the blue ring, and that was the colours of it really sort of appealed to me. And then seeing Undertaker and Mr. Perfect and Warrior especially, like the colours, I was like, fuck, this is what's this about? This is amazing. And
but we brought out watching the World of Sport stuff
100%,
before that.
100%. And
so it was the transition of seeing all the bright colours as compared to...
Yeah, it was interesting because I never questioned the World of Sport stuff. Some of it looked so real and like on, and like the emotion was so like, it felt like you could hear the hushed anticipation, like a real fight was.
Well, it was like a struggle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know.
That's what I thought. I never ever questioned the English stuff until I saw Ken Nagasaki put Robbie Brookside into a trance, and that did it for me. But like you say, the competitive side of the British stuff was straight ahead, wasn't it?
It was a ruck, and I think you get a lot of that. I get a little bit of that from the UFC and stuff now as well when I watch that. It's just when you went to, I don't know, like there was still the showmanship side of it when people walked the thing, but it was like Giant Haystacks was like a big gypsy bare knuckle boxer who's just going to have it. And then when he walked the ring, there was like, it was not booing him because he's being a heel. It was booing him because he looked like he was going to have a ruck with someone. Like if you walked into a pub and see him, you'd think, oh shit, or like Skull Murphy or something like that. And that always stuck with me, that sort of realism side of it. Like these people were to be, even if they were good guys, you'd fear them. They looked like they'd stopped a few.
They were fearsome, man. I was like Crusher Mason, Mal Kirk, all those guys. They all looked like they could tear your head off. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I remember going through a few years when I started working for Fremantle. Mal Sanders was one of the nicest people to me.
He just had his retirement match yesterday.
Did he? Oh, mate.
With James Mason, yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was one of my favourites, Mal. It was brilliant, amazing.
Who put that on?
I think it was All Star.
Oh,
it was All Star, in fact, but Mal Sanders was an amazing villain.
He was kind to me. There was just one bit he said before he walked out. He said, "We'll do it all out there. If you pull my hair, it comes out, and I'll pull yours, and I'll make sure yours comes out." And then he was being really, he beat me up, but in a good way. And halfway through the match, called Jackknife, and my thing of Jackknife was a Jackknife pin where you pull the ankles out and flip over. And as I grabbed his ankles, he went, "Oh fuck me, no!" But I did it anyway, and he seemed comfortable with it. And it was that was good. But anyway, going back to story. So seeing World of Sport, WWF, and even after a couple of weeks, all my mates stopped watching it. There's something that kept drawing me back, even though it was all like high. Sort of like, oh, the Undertaker's a dead person and Hogan's had his cross ripped off and he's got to try and fight him. There was still something that kept drawing me back to it. I even though it was all like colourful, and then I started seeing the Memphis stuff, and UWA always stuck to me as well, like the big brawling types. I was like, this is real. This is like heavy stuff. I really wanted to watch it. And then from there, I guess I got into started looking around. There was a magazine called Superstars of Wrestling, and they advertised the old Hammerlock.
I remember it. I remember the advert as well.
And then that was it. Me and my tag partner, Paul.
So was that when Andre was going?
That was when he was running it. Yeah, we got.
So you'd have been there with Doug. Johnny Moss.
Justin Richards was the first guy that sort of broke us in. Got absolutely larruped the first few times. Would go there, spend the whole weekend there, getting beaten up.
A lot of people, so I've said this before, a lot of people say bad things about Andre. I never had any dealings with him, but I think that's probably got to be the most successful wrestling school of all time when you consider the amount of, Finn Balor, all the amount of people who came out of there.
I have nothing, like, I've heard horrible, like, some really hard stories about him, but at the end of the day, he set up shop, he put the business out there, and he got me a break, and he got me on shows. He did great for me, and it led to FWA, it led to my career. So if he hadn't put that advert out there, I never would have started. Okay, it did open up the business. Some would say it opened out too much, but it always did all right for me. So.
But then there was a bit of an exodus, wasn't there? Because there was like Alex Shane, Guy Thunder, Jody, Johnny, and I remember, I think it was Alex who told me about you and Paul Ash.
Yes.
And said, you want to try these guys out because you'll really like them, doing the breed gimmick. So I think I contacted you, didn't I?
Yeah, we did. That was we'd sort of started going to FWA a little bit, and then you got in touch with us, and it was really nice actually. Like you said, I like your guys' gimmicks. We were doing more of a gothic, almost Brood before the Brood gimmick back then,
and it really was as well.
It was weird.
It really was, because only a few months later it was like the fucking Brood came out and everyone's like, the Breed's a rip-off, but it really wasn't.
We sort of got it before then. I mean, Ash was more into his whole gothic stuff before me, but then I had sort of had a dabbling in it, and then I was more into the whole, like, for my thing I was doing boxing and karate, but then I really liked the whole wrestling. I liked the showmanship side of it, and then we came to you and did business, and it was great. Like it was been a hell of a ride. Like 22 years, I can't remember it all, but it's been.
And like I say, you've been here for such a long time, so I don't think you've missed hardly any of our shows, and you've always been very consistent performing under lots of different guises as well. But like I say, you've obviously, because we have a lot of guys in the job now who say they're not a fan of wrestling, but you really genuinely do love it, don't you?
Do you know what the weirdest thing was? Things that I've sort of got into now and stuff. It's really interesting seeing people from different walks of life, and it's always a curiosity. And there's always something in wrestling that there's always, when any other form of entertainment or thing or hobby I get into, there's always like constants and variables, and there's always parts of what I've learned through wrestling that get used elsewhere, and I'm still a massive fan of it. I can't deny it. And the funny thing is, I think wrestlers, the hardest people on wrestling are wrestlers. They're almost sort of frown on themselves because what they do, they think, because it isn't a real fight or something. But it's like, it's high art, it's high entertainment, it's ad-libbing with your physical body, and you're risking everything.
Well, that's what I wanted to come to you about. You've gone on nicely to that, because Jamie Clubb, my old business partner, we used to be called Extreme World Warfare because we didn't want to use the word wrestling, because obviously Jamie was well into his performance art, and then I think you a couple of years ago said to me that some of your art friends had said, this is a real art form, and it was a real pleasure to hear that it was being enjoyed for something that I hadn't really seen it as.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one for me recently that I could sort of draw in is the cage match you and I had, and someone involved in the performance art world straight on latched to the whole myth of the Minotaur and said, you look like the Minotaur, the beast. And it was sort of like, even though I was the bad guy, you're this beast that I was trying to slay. And it's just seeing how people have different frames of reference to, like, they're still coming into wrestling, but there's something that they'll might draw from a classical myth, but it speaks to everyone. It's so, I think, like I say, too many people with wrestling have sort of almost shit on it and tried to bring it down, but it's like, it speaks to so many different people in so many different walks. Like, entertainment is entertainment, art is art, and people should really start to think that what we do is really high art. It's incredible, and how it spreads to everyone.
I know we spoke about that cage match just tonight, actually.
Yes.
It's still one of my favourite matches that we've ever put on and been involved in.
It's one of my favourite ones to be involved with. There's not, many that I'd look back and watch, and mine I really enjoy. That one is one of them.
Yeah, definitely the finish. The finish was absolutely spot on.
For me, the start is because, like I say, when I went in there and, like I say, we were hitting you with those punches, and you described it well. You said to me, I've resigned myself to the fact that if I get through the first 3 minutes, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And I remembered that, and I thought, right, I'm going to give you that for that 3 minutes then. And you were right. Because I was fucked after that.
I was like, all right, now the gas tank's gone. I can make a comeback.
After about three haymakers and 4 uppercuts, I was like, well, the cut's still standing.
That was it for time for the Ethan wankers to come in.
But it was awesome, and I'm very proud of that.
I would love a GIF. There is, if anyone ever wants to watch it back, there's like it's the first uppercut, and it's Stu tagged me. I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, who is all fake? No, but it was. There's a rhythm, okay, and me and Stu had another match that we may talk about, we may not, but
I'd rather not.
I'd rather not as well.
Well, we had to lay the ghost to rest because it just didn't work. I wasn't particularly well at the time. It just didn't gel.
I was fucking horrible. I was all about trying to get my shit in, and I'm doing this and that, and it's like, I'm a gimmick, and nah, bollocks.
And you know how much I love that.
It's awful. And but weirdly, the best bit in that is when you laid my head back against the apron and tried to open up a hard-way cut on my head, and because it was real, and then
it will open.
Yeah, I won't go for it. Won't go. But for me, it was like I knew we had a match in us. So I knew that me and you could have a great one in there, and it's like you set a rhythm. So when we got in there in the cage, and you sent me this text saying, "Oh, we're going to start the show with the cage." I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Why? No one would expect that. We're going to start. We're going to start. We're going to get that whole show going with the cage match, and you give me those shots, and you hit me with this uppercut, and it was beautiful. I just saw stars, but it was setting that rhythm, and I'm like, no one's going to question this because I'm not questioning it. But that's what wrestling should be as well. It's like we're not. We can all say, oh yeah, it shouldn't hurt and stuff, but it doesn't really hurt, and that what we're recording there lasts forever. That tag is just going to be, and I don't want to blow open the business, but for me it's like that shot is like it couldn't have gone any better because you've set the rhythm. I shouldn't be able, we're not going to do this 50-50. I'm not going to get my shit in. When you hit me, I should be staying down. I shouldn't be able to come back with punches for you. So you're setting the rhythm there, and then the whole match was just fine.
It was full on. It was one of those matches where you're in the middle of it and you know it's good.
Yeah.
And everything feels good. The time, everything was right, and it just felt good.
For me, it's like if you've got that, and I get this with Scarlett a lot as well, when you're in the rhythm of it, it's like I'm not questioning, okay, now I should do this to pop the crowd, or now I should sell this. It's like, no, the match is working through you.
You're feeding off the crowd.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You're giving a response to the crowd is giving a response back, you're giving a response to your opponent, the opponent's giving a response back, and it's all just becomes organic. You haven't got to think about, oh, this would look good now. No, it's like you're doing it because this is what should be now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'd already figured out then that you were going to be calling time on it, on wrestling, and we did the big build-up, and obviously you did that awesome retirement match with Scarlett. At the time, a lot of people didn't realise what was going on behind the scenes in your private life. Things, turn a bit of a nosedive with your marriage. And it was a fucking very hard time for you, and obviously as close friends we stayed in touch throughout it. So to put on 2 phenomenal matches like that when you were going through all those things, you must be very proud of that.
That's a good question. It
wasn't really a question.
It's sort of like a compliment. I wouldn't take anything back. The things that I would say about that now is I can give you my perspective of it. Mine
is this. Mine is this. I think the intensity that you had going into those, the stuff that I think you harnessed and channeled a lot of the stuff that you were going through in your private life so well that it came through in the matches, and I'm not sure if everything would have been going tickety booms or peaches and cream, whether it would have been the same.
Well, like I say, when
you see what I mean now?
Yeah, no. When like I say, I didn't. So the last promo, which is still my favourite promo I ever did, before I fought Scarlett for the last time.
That was awesome.
All I knew was that I wanted to say the words, you'd rather cheer for a carpenter that performs magic tricks, and I knew I wanted to say I'm the God made flesh. I didn't know I was going to tear my shirt open. I didn't know I was going to get that angry, but that for me is wrestling. That for me is performance. You have your material, or you have a few waypoints, but you don't set the route. You're going to get there, but you have the emotion. You have a few things to tick off, but then you just go with it. when I wrestled you, I sat in the cage before the match, and then you were hitting me with the uppercuts, and I heard the crowd cheer, and I thought to and also all the stuff you'd given me such a thing with the Flower Girl and the music, and you read me like a book in terms of when some of my personal interests are about religion and spirituality, and to be able to portray that character was it's so much of me and so much of what I wanted to present to the audience that when we did the cage match and I had that finish and you gave that to me and we called it out there, which is something I always wanted to do with you, I was like, I don't know how I can top this, and I never wanted to become one of these wrestlers that was hanging around going, oh, do you remember when we did this, do you remember when we did that?
It was only the second time I'd ever done that as well, called it in there.
It was, when you said it, the two things you said to me, the text to me, oh, let's just go on first, and I was like, fuck yeah, and then you went, let's just call it out there, and as we were calling it and you were just hitting me, I was like, shit, we didn't need to plan anything, it was just all working. It was just and then as you said about the drop kick off the top, and you said about the DDT and stuff and the finish, and it was just like we can work this, and it just felt phenomenal. It was what I always dreamed of, having that match with you, and that was it. Hitting those matches with Scarlett, hitting that match with you, I was like, oh Jesus, is there much more I can do in this? And I didn't like I said, I saw that a few times when I was going through wrestling and when I had my serious injuries. I didn't want to be the guy that was like, oh, do you remember when I did this, do you remember when I did that, the one that sits in the corner with no real friends anymore, who just like people go, oh, do you remember he was good? So I sort of wanted to cash my chips in a bit there. But
I still think as well that you don't give yourself credit for being the head of, and I say this not lightly at all, being the head of the biggest faction in EWW history. And we pulled that off.
It was because, I mean, the Ring Wars guys gave it the award and said it was the best, the best angle they'd seen in British wrestling. And I'm totally fucking proud of that. And obviously that came from our interest and I don't want to say love of Colts, but our fascination with Jonestown and Jim Jones and all that.
Yeah.
And we put all that together. But I never expected it to be as immensely big as it was.
It was for me as well. It was so good because you had the whole thing with this mindset of it being the arcane and the what's it called, the pagan. And I was really at this point watching a documentary called Going Clear about Scientology.
Okay.
And there's one recently come out about Waco, and I just love this, that someone will lead a cult, then it becomes big, and then at some point the wheels come off and it has to become about, oh, it's all got to become, I have to have sex with everyone, or you've all got to die for me now, rather than becoming just someone who speaks for God. They have to become God, they have to take that next step. And I loved it.
Yeah, you were right about that. I'd forgotten about that. I did want to take it down the pagan route, and it was you were right with that, because it really fucking worked, and it was one of those things that a lot of people will remember, and it burned out. It sort of was a massive bright burning light, and then it went just as quickly. But it was fucking awesome. For everyone that did watch it, everyone will remember it.
And how the fuck did we get away with that in a church?
Yeah, don't forget we did those things. We were doing those shows in a massive church, and we were told, "Oh, you're not allowed to say God and this and that and the other." And not only did we do that, we fucking put the videos of Charles Manson up and everything else. So
Jim Jones.
Yeah, we really we really risked it, but we got away with it. I think.
I loved that music we used at the beginning from the film Irreversible, which has got a weird sort of revolving effect. And the first time the cameraman heard it, he went all weird and couldn't film it.
The music was phenomenal. It was so good.
But no, the only thing little deleted scene here, the only thing I really wish we could have done, we never did get around to doing it, was I wanted to do a leafleting campaign around Battle of Hastings, where we're all standing out as children of Eden trying to recruit
that would have been really good.
Cool. And I wanted to do a recruitment video where like everyone's all happy and smiling, and we're all like trying to get people to join the Church of Eden or whatever. That would have made, would have really made me laugh, just like everyone happy and glowing, but then you're all like these blank faces. But in my mind, I'm like, oh, we're all happy. And
but how was that for you, doing something that was so intense and such a big part of your life in one sense, but then with all the stuff that was going on in your personal life in the other, how did you manage to cope with all that?
It was one of the hardest things I had to do. I relied on Tanya a lot to get me through it. It was hard saying goodbye, but at that point I needed to take a bit of time out to try. You've got limited, so I always called it my stress cup. So like you've got limited capacity in your stress cup, and for me at that point I didn't want to start. One thing I've always prided myself on is the professional wrestler, or my job I've had, or like even doing performance art now. I've always wanted to be, even if everything else is shit, I wanted to be the one that people rely on. And the whole time I was doing wrestling, I missed three shows with massive, I've got 2 arthritic hips and a torn out bollocks. I've got a load of stuff on my spine and hips that are bad, but I only ever missed 3 shows, and I didn't want to become a point where I was going to become unreliable, and I didn't want to be able not to walk out there and go, I've not given my best. You know what, all you can do, even stuff that's probably going on in my life now that's quite tricky as well, you take a breath, you look at your life, and I have a fucking great life. I really, really do. I look at sorry, I'm gonna swallow there. I look at people that have got a lot less than me, and I have to deal with people every day, and see stuff on the news and that where people haven't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, and I cannot, even the hardest times in my life, I cannot. Everything's in a struggle, and you want to take it to the base level. Even the thing I did before wrestling was weightlifting, and if you don't struggle under that weight, you're not going to grow. And you can moan and bitch and go, oh, this is too heavy or shit, but no, you get under it, you do your fucking set, and you recover from it, and then you move on. And
I'm going to drag you back to this because I want to talk about your like you as a person, how under, I don't want to call it a regime, but in your relationship, it was a fairly controlling relationship, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was for us as your close friends, seeing you, and that you can only see it now, seeing the person that you were and that you were sort of becoming, but then managing to hold your professional life with us. And like you were pretty much that thing was holding EWW up really. We were getting huge sellout crowds of 1,000, 1,200 people all the time. You were going through that messy period at home. How did that affect you at the time?
What, with the wrestling or home life?
No, the home life, but knowing that you had the wrestling to look forward to. But all the time, when the fucking, the final bell's rung and the ring's put away, you've got to go back to the cold, hard reality of real life. How did you cope with that?
It wasn't...
So I remember talking to you, and you were in a real, you weren't the guy that you are now.
Yeah.
You didn't have, you were emaciated. And sorry, stop me if this is
no.
But like I say, I want you to realise how far you've come with this.
Thank you.
Really, because like I say, you weren't the same person that you are now.
No.
You weren't as strong as you are now, and you certainly weren't as happy as you are now.
I guess for me, Stuart, a lot of it is...
He's called me Stuart, this is it.
Stuart,
fucking hell, it's like when when your dad calls you Stuart, you know you're in trouble.
No,
am I going to get sent into my room?
Just disappointed in you.
You've let yourself down.
It's something I've never asked you, and I thought I want to ask you now.
No, okay, and listen, I respect it because you always get these sort of things from a podcast. I guess for me, it's let's have a think. You don't really realise certain parts of yourself are shutting down or certain parts of yourself have changed until after the fact. That's the best way I can describe it. I think the biggest problem for me was I was trying to deny a lot of myself, a lot of my fun self. I called it sort of my monkey mind and my child mind, and I don't know, I became quite cynical. I think I became cynical to try, and fit with certain parts of myself, and it wasn't really working. At the end of the day, when I wrestled, it was freedom. When I do jiu-jitsu, it's freedom. When I perform, it's freedom. When I lift weights, it's freedom. but that can exist the whole time. That really can exist all the time. But I don't know. You just have to. I'd forgotten who I was, and I think in the last year I've started to, and it's fucking terrifying sometimes because you're alone and you have to sometimes deal with some dark thoughts or feeling alone, but then you have to, I think too many people in this life jump from relationship to relationship or try and jump from circumstance to circumstance. It's like, do you ever sit there and just have a conversation with yourself? Because it's vital. Because if you're not having those conversations, if you cannot, and it's not all like self-love and take a swim in Lake Hugh, but you do need to look at yourself and go, what makes me? And you know what? You have to look at yourself and go, you're fucking all right. You're all right. You're going to be all right. And that is one thing that I've never, even in my darkest times, as much as I didn't like myself very much a lot of the time, I've always said, you're going to be all right. And probably in the last 4 months, maybe a bit longer, I've started looking at myself. This isn't going to be anything that anyone who's my friend on Facebook doesn't know. For the first time in 16, so what we're talking is 25 years, I finally admitted on Facebook. One day I was just in the gym and I thought, fuck it, I'm going to put it up there, that I had eating disorders from when I was 16. I've had massive body dysmorphia. I used to be bulimic, I used to binge, I used to control myself with lots of ways with these sort of things, and this is the first time in my whole life I've looked at myself and just gone, Phil, no matter what you eat or no matter how you develop yourself, you're all right. That's who you are.
Do you think you've got through that point with the eating disorder, or is it something that you still is at the back of your mind?
Is it always going to be there?
Well, this is the problem as well, right? When you're, if you do drugs, you can stay away from drugs. If you booze, you can stay away from booze. You have to eat every single day. You have to. I would say now I stopped questioning certain parts of my behaviour. For instance, I keep my MyFitnessPal. I know how many calories I consume. I know what macronutrients I consume. When those numbers fit, it makes me feel good. And rather than stop going, Phil, why are you doing that? You should, I actually feel happy when I do it. When I train, I feel happy. So if these things are giving me happiness, why do I have to keep apologising for them? Is it part of a controlling behaviour? Yeah, but maybe I do need some control, because I know if I just sit there and just go, I'm going to eat whatever I want and don't monitor any of it for weeks on end, I start to feel shitty. So why do something that makes me feel shitty just to prove that I can?
One thing I know that you're a massive advocate for is making sure that our locker room stays as a family. And
yes.
You've always been an advocate for that. And like I said, the first time I ever met you was as a ref, and you welcomed me and just, open arms, and it was like everyone there mattered, and loads of people turn around and say, oh, well, our locker room's like a family. Bullshit. Being an EWW locker room, it's completely
100%.
But do you think that helped you through your dark times, that you knew you had that kind of escape?
Yeah, do you know what? Actually, the biggest thing that helped me when I first won the title, I didn't enjoy it. I know Stu did it, and I always respect him for that. But then the day I won it, I actually wasn't. It had blown my head all out, and then I realised at that point that I was addicted to Paz, I was addicted to a few people, and I realised, no, you guys were nothing but welcoming and nothing. And then that's when you start to question yourself of things that you've been sort of feeling, or things that you think you should be feeling. I'm like, no, actually, you guys are being nothing but good to me, nothing but helpful and caring towards me. And it's true, like anybody that's been in that locker room that hasn't really had that at heart, had that interest at heart, has slowly been weeded out. And like, this is one thing that it really does help. It wasn't playtime for me, it was actually the closest thing that I could ever have to, a family. And when you've got like friends that are around you that are supporting you, even though we weren't talking about this, I really did feel supported. So yeah, it did help me a lot. And it's escapism, but in another way, it's escapism at its highest level, because it's part of me. It's what makes me who I am.
Yeah. So yeah, I just remember, like, not a lot of people know that pretty much the EWW booking team at the time was obviously Stu, Tanya, myself, and Phil when we were doing the evening dinners, and we used to stay up fucking all the way through the night drinking and fucking thinking of ideas and watching old shows.
Yes.
Now, one of my favourite matches of yours was, and I know you fucking hate this match, but it's just because it encompasses everything that EWW was about and is about still, was your match with Ash. Now,
oh god,
it was just the gig you did and the fucking table spot. I know you hate it because you just thought, at the time you were like, get all your shit in, but it's a thing of its time, I reckon.
Yeah.
But I will still not forget Stu standing over you at the time we were watching it back and going,
you happy with that?
I fucking paid you for that shit.
The thing is, it was actually an amazing match, and it was synonymous with you. We talk about EWW's changed over the years and that, and I don't want to go on too much about EWW stuff because it's, it feels a bit self-congratulatory, but the image of you pissing with blood and blood was shooting horizontally out your forehead because you'd had a bit of whiskey and ephedrine, etc. beforehand, but those images from that match were synonymous with what we were doing.
Yeah, totally. The nightclub kind of setting that you were in.
If I were to point a finger at what my favourite match was back in those days, that was probably one of them.
Do you know what? For me, it's not that I hate it. It's just there's like 5 matches worth of gear in that one match. Like, we had to get everything in, and at the end of the day, you look at it's like you're going to draw from what you're into. I was into still one of my biggest. Here comes. I'm going to sound like a massive smart now, but it's still one of my biggest. Matches that got me into wrestling or kept me in wrestling was Akira Kuta versus Shinobu Kandori, where Akira Kuta takes a tombstone on a table and just absolutely rips open head, like blood's everywhere. And when me and Paul were just talking about it, I was like, I think I want to do a blade, as everyone at wrestling sooner or later does. And there came that point where I was like, okay, this is going to happen now. And I thought, I could just do it small, fuck it. And I think that's been that. If I could have one thing in life, that's what I think about a lot of stuff. That's when I step up to stuff, I think, well, fuck it, what are you going to do, Phil? And for me, it was like, it's when I was wrestling you in a cage, you get this one moment to do this. So when I bladed, I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And
it was a real mass transit job, wasn't it? It was literally squirting out your head. It was mental.
It was a 1-2 double because the blade was quite big, and then Paul got we really got into the moment, and he managed to break a chair over my head that wasn't a working chair. Like, he broke a fucking thick chair over my head, and I distinctly remember at one point I was staggering around and there was a girl in front of me wearing a white dress, and it turned like crimson instantly. So I thought, well, fuck me, I'm losing quite a bit of blood here. And I remember wiping my face, and as soon as I wiped my face, it had all gone completely red again. And my girlfriend at the time was out, and I looked up at her, and she was just fucking white with shock, like, oh, he's lost a lot of blood. It wasn't what a lot of people. And I remember that the crowd went from cheering to getting that weird sort of mumbling amongst themselves because how much blood I was losing. But I wouldn't change a thing. But everyone, the worst thing is I remember Jetta got backstage after she watched it a few weeks later, and there's the thing that busted me open was a pole driver through a table to the outside. And Jetta just looked at me and went, you could have actually died. There's no joke. You could have actually died. And then in the fucking next one, Ash convinced me to give him a brainbuster from the inside of the ring to the outside through a table, and got annoyed because he said, it didn't hurt me as much as I expected. Me and him were fucking lunatics back then. Some of the bumps we were taking, it's just like, but then you learn. It was an extreme promotion. It was awesome. Obviously, you look back at it now and you think, you've left nothing for the fucking next match. And we all know that, but it was part of a learning thing. Exactly.
It was a product of its time as well.
Which is why I made you sit down and watch it, Clockwork Orange style.
Are you doing this shit again?
With your eyes pinned down.
Yeah, it's like a Clockwork Orange moment. So sit and just think about what you did, Phil.
Let's move away a little bit from wrestling and talk about your performance art, because it's something that you got into when you were with Helen, and I didn't really understand then, and if I'm honest, nothing much has changed.
Me and you either, mate.
But, you do it, and I know you're incredibly passionate about it. Explain some of the things that you do and what it does for you.
Right, that's a really good one, actually. Okay, so when I was doing Lucha Britannia, I've sort of been here, there and everywhere. Some of the things that Gary Vandal, or some of the shows that Gary Vandal used to take us to, were like the Rubber Ball, Torch Garden, places like this. And at those events, they do cabaret, and they also do performance art. Some of it is of a sexualised nature, shibari, bondage, however you want to know it. Some of it is of more making a political statement. And again, like wrestling, as some of my friends used to watch it and after 2 weeks stopped watching it, I would see some of these performances and they just sort of, like I call it joining the dots, they just set off dots in my head, and only now I sort of come back to and think, that's why I watched that, that's why I carried on thinking about it. Then I got with my my partner or wife at the time, Helen. She was very heavily involved in the performance art scene, and like what I've said already, I just thought, fuck it, I want to give it a go. So I ended up doing a show, and when I look at that now, it's almost like when I used to do old school wrestling, everything was in that one performance. Like it's loads of bits of me were in that one performance. And then the longer it's gone on, there came a point when I thought, am I doing this because I want to do it? Am I doing it because it just shared some of Helen's world? And then I was like, there was one very distinct show when I was in the middle of it, and I was like, this is the most authentic and truest I've ever been in front of an audience. And the way I work with it, and this is something I'm really exploring at the moment as well, when you wrestle, I know you know me, we're displaying aggression, the good guy beats up the bad guy, but even though we've worked that out, people are really feeling hate, fear, joy, happiness. So if we're faking an emotion, does that make their responses to it any less real? So when I do performance art, I might come up with an idea, and if I said it out loud now, you'd be like, what the fuck does that mean? Why is he doing that? Some of the stuff, even I think, I'll maybe come up with a visual, and then I start working it backwards and go, well, this is what it means to me. And then someone comes up to me after a show and they're trying to work it out like a question. I was like, oh, I think you've done this, I think you mean this. It's like, no, whatever it means to you is right. And I had a friend of mine say it to me, the reason you do it, or the reason she makes art, FK Alexander her name was, is because she sees something that doesn't exist and no one else can make it except her. And that's why I do it. I will see something or feel about something and go, no one else can do it except me. And it's not about immortality or I have to be loved. In fact, the audience probably when I do performance art is less than ever, but I have to get this thing out of me, be it spoken word or writing or the physical work. It has to be in there, and it's something that it's sort of the mind and body and what I do in my daily life of physical activity, and in marrying that into physical performance, it all sort of meets. It's like my life is all joining these things together. But wrestling is something that is so sought after and so usable in performance art, and such a rich mine of like ideas and things you can use in front of an audience. Because
I mean, without fucking boiling it down to absolute base instinct, I mean, essentially it takes an awful lot of balls, doesn't it, to sit in a cold room with your kecks off, do you know what I mean? Totally naked in front of strangers. I mean, to me, that alone, without understanding the nuances of all the storylines and everything behind it, just doing that fills me with fucking horror. The funny thing with me and nudity, it's like, so nudity, okay, there is this big thing in performance art, there is this cliche that it's like, I am naked in a white room and it is art, and I will suffer and I will bleed and I will do silly weird things. But it's when you don't wear any clothes, it presents a blank canvas. As soon as you put on clothes, people will read stuff into that clothing choice. Now, even if you're naked, people are going to read into that nudity and think sometimes it's a sex thing. But my body's my body. I was born with it. I'm not ashamed of it. And unfortunately, now and again, I'll see a piece of performance art. Might be a naked woman, might be a naked man, and I'll go, that was so moving. Sometimes I'll see it and think, tits. You can't help it. Like you will read into a body and call it male gaze or whatever. But the hardest, so fuck it, I'm not ashamed. The hardest performance I did recently, there's been a few real hard ones, but I had a 30 kilo block of ice tied
around my neck.
I was going to get onto this. This
yeah,
is the
yeah.
one that kind of made me raise my eyebrows and go, "Fucking hell!" I saw the
cuts into my neck. Yeah, Philip doing a Philip thing, as I call it. But yeah, I practiced with it, but I didn't realise when you're doing it over a really long time period, I can cut the muscles in my neck, and I couldn't put my hands over my head for quite a while afterwards.
And we're talking here, it was a huge block of ice.
30 kilos. And I didn't. So my image with that was that it's all about adaptation of the body. So as much as the rope is cutting into the ice over time, it's also cutting into my neck, and it's like which one's going to give first, or how the ice adapts and how my flesh adapts to the weight. And I managed to stand up with it, which I didn't know I was going to do at the time. A lot of the time I'll have material, I'll have an intent, and then what happens out there is what happens. So it's very similar to wrestling. We'll have a finish, we'll have some ideas what we want to do for spots, and then what happens out there happens. So I worked with it, and there was a part in that where I started to do a lot of meditation, a lot of breathing, and quite early on in the performance I just broke down in tears, and I was just hugging the ice. And you can laugh at that, and then people afterwards were like, "Why did you cry? Why did you cry?" And I was like, even to this day,
I was in fucking agony.
Yeah, it fucking hurt. I've got ice hanging off my neck on my balls. I can honestly tell you, just in that moment, I looked up at everyone looking at me, and I just felt people willing me on to whatever I was doing it because I had to do it, and I just was like. It was so emotional feeling that. I was like, okay, I'm going to cry for a second and I'm going to carry on.
The one thing that interests me the most about that one was the pain that you put yourself through more than anything. And I'm really interested in like that kind of mind over matter and go into another plane when you go through that kind of pain. You have to switch off, and like I'm really interested in like piercing like suspension work, where you're hanging from a fucking meat hook and things like that, and just trying to take your mind to somewhere else. Is that the kind of thing you were going for, or trying to get through? Or
no, the pain thing is. I do love that when people go, does it hurt? It fucking hurts. Of course it hurts. I've got a massive back tattoo. It took 64 hours. And we go, did it hurt? Well, what do you think? It came.
It's not even a sexual thing, is it? It's a control of the body thing.
Yeah, but it's I do get careful about endurance work as well, and stuff in my art that involves bleeding. I pulled away from bleeding for quite a long time because I did one where I was bleeding onto rice paper, and someone said to me straight after, wow, there was a lot of blood there, and like that's all they could focus on. And I was like, if that becomes the overriding thing that people are walking away from, my point has been lost amongst the gore of it. And like saying about pain as well, it's like for me, yeah, there is an endurance aspect, there is, like I say, an adaptation. But if it just becomes about, whoa, Phil can take a fucking kick in, it's like, for me, when it gets to a point with pain, it almost becomes like white noise. It's like if you're gonna make me suffer, I'll fucking take it till I pass out. I don't care. We all right. We set the standards here. I know through like my pain for every day, from my hips going, my neck going, my lower back going, wrestling. I know how much I can take, and I can take it to a point, and I'll pass out. There's no real fear for me there. What I fear, or not fear, but what I'm exposing of myself is my emotion. What makes me me? And even with Bateman and stuff, what makes me an arrogant god? What makes me bigger than religion? What parts of Philip Bedwell are in Philip Bateman? Because that's the joy of wrestling. What is this arrogant man that has these followers around him and wants to drag them through any old shit and let them get beaten up because he feels he's better than everyone else? This is where the true expression of wrestling, and it's not in the flips, it's not in the moves, it's in the moment when you walk to the ring and you lock eyes with people and you're raising your hand up and they're booing at you and they're spitting at you, but they're not even questioning, oh, he's playing a character. They're actually thinking about something that might relate to their own lives, a choice they've made in their life. That's what the work is. This is what I even do now. It's like you make people question, you make people think, because in wrestling, in a moment, in travel, in art, you learn something about yourself. And if someone else is watching you, maybe they learn something about themselves. It causes everyone to ask questions. That's what I want to do. I want to make people keep questioning.
I think one of the biggest things for me, like you're saying about reactions, was when, and this is really something that for kayfabe, it's not so this should be spoken about, but probably is going to be. So when Drake, the character, I'm blowing my own horn here, was made solely to turn on Tanya, to turn on Scarlett, and playing that when we did My Turn, that was just the fucking best feeling in the world, having all those people boo and give that reaction. And we played that fucking perfectly, absolutely perfectly.
And completely organically, when I just started stroking your head,
I know,
I was fucking where did
creepy? Like, we're on the entrance, I was kneeled down and like just dead eyes towards Scarlett, and you're just rubbing my shoulder. And
yeah, this is it. Yeah. And the fact that the little poppy girl was there as well. Like, why was she there? We never even gave her a name. Why was she there? It's just
when you've got 1,000 people who've been coming back and invested in you guys. And then you have that ability to just change everything and hear that raw emotion, whether it's good or bad. It's powerful, isn't it?
I always loved being hated. I never liked...
Me too.
Yeah, there's something... The weird thing is, it's so much easier to get someone to hate you than it is to love you. And I always had that feeling of, like, it was just, I don't know how you saw that in me and said, Phil, this is what you should do. But
mainly because, like I say, you're quite a misunderstood fellow. I get a lot of people who don't understand your performance art and everything else. Obviously, people know that you're a good friend of mine. People genuinely ask me, has Phil gone off the deep end? Do you know what I mean? Because they don't understand it, and I basically said, it's his thing. It's what he does. But you're very open about what you like and that. But I think a lot of because a lot of the wrestlers are blinkered and they don't have any interests outside of it as much. I think they struggle to comprehend it. But I say, you and I have always had an affinity with each other and understood each other. So I think that's the reason why you were the one to carry that forward.
Guys, and girls, you're fake fighting in fucking pants.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Don't ever try and take any sort of gender issue out of it. Don't ever try and take any sexual element out of it. Don't ever take any performance art aspect out of it. You're doing art, okay? And there's too much in life, and this is one thing I do want to say that I'm so glad I freed myself of now. Guilty pleasures. And even now in this interview, you'll hear me now and again, I'm about to talk about a piece of my performance work, or I would talk about a certain piece of music or a film, and people do that thing where they go, I can't believe I like Limp Bizkit, or I can't believe I like watching Friends. Friends is okay, but like
Limp Bizkit not so much.
I'll tell you something about Limp Bizkit another time, but there's no guilty pleasure. There's just pleasure. If you fucking like it, if it speaks to you, life is too fucking short not to do it. Do it. Because if you're not hurting anyone else, and if it's something that you want to follow, and it might seem like the most childish thing, but if it makes you be creative, if it gets you in that moment where you feel happy and pure and free, then why not fucking do it? Like Limp Bizkit, for instance, right? They were performing Behind Blue Eyes, and I remember I back down about 3/4 of a bottle of rum, which might have had something to do with it, and I was at this gig at the Kentish Town Forum, and I locked eyes, this is well known a few years ago now, I locked eyes with someone, and Fred Durst had stopped singing because the whole crowd was singing it back to him, and I locked eyes with this woman, and we just hugged each other, and both, I cry a lot, we both burst into tears, and it was just so fucking perfect. Now, did I care that it was Limp Bizkit? No, because in that moment it felt perfect. Yeah. So why the fuck care that it's like, maybe so. And this is the thing that's happening with Facebook every now, people frowning at, you like that, or you follow this, or you believe that. Yeah, I fucking do, and you know what? It makes me happy. And why my life is too short to compromise my happiness for your judgments. Everyone's so scared about not fitting in, or not being the cool person, or not standing up, or not standing behind someone and being part of a tribe. Do it. Fucking do it. Do it and discover about yourself.
Let's face it, we're fucking pro wrestling fans. We're not the cool people. We haven't been the cool people through a lot of our younger lives.
Yeah.
We've been the outcasts.
But that's what I mean. That's why, like I said, that's why I've always liked you, because there is that honesty there, and it's when you've come over before, the amount of times we talk about wrestling is minimal. We've got a wonderful love of music, movies, everything else, and those are the sort of people I like to have around me, really. And so, and like I say, you've taught me an awful lot, and I'm fascinated to see what you're going to do next, because
me too.
Tell me a little bit about your most recent trip and your upcoming one to Vietnam.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, that was really good. I believe a lot in fate and circumstance and opportunity. This time last year, I was in a very, very bad place. I just decided in my head I didn't want to be in this place this time next year. So it was really weird. I ended up going to a party, come home from the party, and I shouldn't have been in any fit state to open up a computer. But there were 2 tabs open the next day when I sort of became conscious again. And one of them was a trip to Vietnam. And I was like, at that point, I managed to get some of the deposit for a flat back, which is enough to... deposit of a flat rent back, which was enough to pay the exact amount, weirdly, for the deposit for the trip to Vietnam. And you can worry all your life about, is this going to be enough money, is that going to be... And I thought, no, I don't want to be in Christmas and New Year. I want to be going to a new part of the world. So it's a 16-day trip to Vietnam where they take you up to the northernmost part of Vietnam, 6 people that I've never met before, and we're going to trek back to southern Vietnam. It's not... I have done other trips to South Africa and stuff when I was younger, when it was completely off the rails and I just lived by the seat of my pants. But now, this is a good halfway house. This is the first holiday I've taken as a single in 8 years. And for me, it was like, okay, there's a few bits on rails. You have guides that want to get you to certain places in the 16 days. But for the most part, you do kayaking, you do walking, running, cycling, swimming, whatever you want to get to these places. So, a bit like Annabelle Hunt's Treasure Hunt. Which is a really dated reference. I can't believe I just said that. But you're just going to get there and experience some things. So that's it. I always find with travel and in life, when you put yourself in unfamiliar situations, that's when you really find out the most about yourself. So that's why I'm doing it. And I don't know, like, I got opportunities. Like the other month, I got drowned in a fish tank at a club night when a choir was singing "Time to Say Goodbye" behind me. That literally come up with someone dropping an email going, I saw your WordPress site, would you want to adapt this for stage performance? And I was like, yeah, can you do it? I don't know, I'll give it a go. I've done spoken word for. Can you do spoken word for? I don't know, but I'll set myself up and I'll just keep trying myself on these things.
So you got the ability to, you got enormous lung capacity. Hold your breath for underwater for like over 4 minutes.
Yeah,
I remember watching that. And the woman's holding his head underwater, and like Phil puts his hand on. I thought he was tapping out. He wasn't. He was actually grabbing her wrist to hold his head under there longer. And it's that's the first time I've actually seen one of your things. It was like, wow, I understand. That was pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. Quite frightening.
Well, the thing we're adapting at the moment, again, I'm trying to say all my art isn't about horrible endurance things, but it's a lady in a wheelchair called Naomi Lakamaya, who she shows dominance over me by being quite... The full act is she's quite loving and then quite aggressive to me, and just basically does that act for certain amounts of time for 6 hours. That's one thing where I'm getting dunked for 6 hours, not non-stop, obviously.
Fucking
Why? Do you know what the weird thing is? Because I did scuba diving a few years ago and I loved it, and then I was like, what would make this better? And then I found out about free diving, which is like you go underwater without the scuba diving gear and you learn how to do breath holds. And I'd done a lot of meditation stuff with breath holds anyway, which feels really fucking great. I'd really recommend to people to check out a guy called Wim Hof, who does a Wim Hof breathing method that makes you feel amazing when you do it.
I'd recommend you to check out Michael Hutchins, mate.
Or David Carradine. Oh, sneaky wank. Just don't wank when you do it, you'll be fine, guys. Just meditate, be pure, don't touch the penis. But
always touch the penis.
Never touch the penis. So we did a free diving course, and I started to learn that you can actually hold your breath for like 4 to 5 minutes. But it's weird, like you'll feel this kick in where your body goes, I need to breathe now, but then you focus on something else. Like mine was always weirdly David Bowie singing Across the Universe, the song by the Beatles, where he's like, nothing's gonna change my world, and that would just get stuck in my head, and I could just hold underwater for ages and ages and ages.
Well, apparently I don't know how anyone knows this, but apparently the nicest way to die is drowning.
Okay.
Or opening a vein in a hot bath is another one. I don't know how anyone knows that, but apparently, so there you go, kids.
Open a vein in a hot bath and
straight from an Undertaker.
Turn Dominator, sent you.
Well, the weirdest thing that got me when you see people do free diving, it's quite freaky the first time you see it, because rather than people going and taking this, they just sort of, you do like 3 big breaths and you go, and then you just see someone completely look at peace in their face and they just sink underwater without a sound, and it's really weird.
That must be, just seeing the life go out of them nearly.
It's an acceptance, and it's fucking great.
It's mind over matter once again, isn't it? I suppose, like we're saying.
I guess there's a lot of my stuff now where it is just challenging myself. I like finding myself in these weird situations, like doing a jiu-jitsu tournament after only 12 weeks of training and getting a silver, which was like, someone goes, you never panic when you get choked, Phil. But yeah,
no, but he did make a nasty mess in his gi.
Touch the penis. We call that the Hutchins lock.
What is next for you? What do you want to do? I know obviously you're very instrumental in helping me further EWW from behind the scenes, and obviously helping out the students at the academy. What's next for you on a personal level and in a wrestling sense?
Right. Well, I recently passed my yoga. Right, this is weird. I do a thing where, like, a daily affirmation where I figure what I want to go in my life. I want to live by the sea. I want to help people develop their physical and spiritual sides. I want to spread joy. I want to continue with my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and see where that leads me. And I sort of stepped back from wrestling, but I realised maybe, I don't know many more tales that I have to tell myself in wrestling, but I definitely love writing the scripts. I love telling stories. I don't think I've ever told you this, Stu, but one of my favourite things was me and Stu used to row, kids, quite a lot about where the direction of Eden was going to go, but some of the tumultuous times we had, like when we were really angry with each other, we were like, no, it should go this way, and I was like, no, I'm going to put the moon landing in the background because I want to show how like it's all like fake, and it was, but that stuff was just like, wow, fuck, so many ideas sparking off each other. And my happiest is when I'm being creative. I can't understand people that go, what did you do last night? I just sat there and watched TV.
I did used to fucking annoy me, but I made peace with it. Yeah, I made peace with it. But I remember saying at the time, I said, "Phone winds me up, but at least he cares."
I was passionate.
It wasn't a case of cocktails; it was a case of you actually gave a fuck about it and wanted to do it right, and it was. So that was really nice.
Well, you actually see some of my first performance art was in some of those promos, like me eating paper and stuff like that. It was. There's so many stories to tell. There's so many ways to make people emote, but this is what I see in you now, Stu. You're doing this, and it's not just about, let's just talk about wrestling. It is, you're finding stuff about mental health, you're finding out about stuff's lives, and in these interests, you ultimately find out more about yourself and how you operate as a human. Everybody, you're not just creative in this one pathway. Everybody has all this opportunity, but it's a finite amount before whatever ends in this realm ends, where you could discover and create and do so much. So do it. Don't deny yourself. Too many people hold themselves back with, maybe I'll be frowned upon, maybe people think I'm weird. I know I still get the weird looks and stuff. The wrestling one is the easy one to tell my workmates, because they'll Google wrestling, see a picture of me in my pants, and they don't go any further, as they don't see all the other stuff. But for me, it's like, I'm not even ashamed of that. It's like, alright, you want to look at my penis, look at my penis. If you go on my WordPress site, great, brilliant, wonderful, great, knock yourself out. But for me, it's like, this is a path that speaks to me that I have to follow, and I'm too busy doing it to question, as long as it isn't offending anyone or hurting anyone, why would I not follow these pathways? Because you might as well just go for it.
Well, the whole point of this podcast, ultimately, when I said at the beginning, I didn't want it to be about wrestling, so I wanted it to be about, obviously I rant on there and that, but most of it is about positivity. And when I meet someone for the first time, my question to people is always, what do you do? I like to find out what people do. I like to find out, what makes people tick. And I hope people who listen to this today, who might not understand you or have written you off for being a bit intense and out there, have managed to understand you a bit more and appreciate the things that you do. Because you're one of the few people in wrestling who will always be around me, and I thoroughly enjoy your company.
Well, you know what? I would only like to say thanks to the whole EWW family for sticking around me when I wasn't at my best and I was a bit of a narky sod, but it was just it's been a hell of a ride, and it hasn't stopped yet. I thought maybe drawing a line under it after 22 years was the end of it, but now I realise people refer to it more than ever. It's almost my calling card. It's part of me, and I'm fucking proud of it. I've been proud of everything from the New Breed to the Playboy to the Lady Killer to the Prophet to the God and everything in between. It's like I say, it's a wonderful life, and the simple fact that you asked me what's in the future, what will I be doing this time next year, who knows, and that's what makes it so exciting. I know I'll be lifting fucking weights, I know I'll be doing there's certain constants in me, but just being around such positive people that are willing to, question the status quo, that won't just be fit into this little box in a day job where they just go to a day job, be unhappy, go home to a relationship, be unhappy, watch shit TV about other people being unhappy. They're actually like, no, fuck it. There is stuff I can do. There is ways I can be creative. There are ways I'm going to challenge myself, because it is uncomfortable, and that's what life shouldn't always be comfortable. You want to challenge yourselves. So yeah, I'm happy, man.
Family's always here, man.
Let's do it.
That's the thing.
And it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Like I say, I know it's been a couple of uncomfortable topics we've covered, but I really appreciate your honesty, and like I say, I hope everyone who listens to it appreciates it as well. So thank you ever so much, and thank you for everything you do for us.
I just want to quote Rob Zombie at the end of this and go, because I know you love a bit of Rob Zombie: art should never be safe, neither should wrestling. Good.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Good
Damn right.
Agreed.
We'll and then nothing speaks EWW Academy more than that. You clumsy puncher cunt.
Talking about the Academy, one thing I would like to see you do is take on an understudy. I would like that, man. Take on an understudy.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
Well, I know exactly the man for that. I know exactly the man for that.
Oh, now we're not going to mention it.
We'll discuss that off air.
Nice.
Thank you, Phil, and like I say, I love you to bits, man. I really appreciate it.
And I want to say thank you to Stu, thank you to Tanya for all the amazing matches. Thank you to Liam for being so responsive and being a perfect underling to me and getting it straight off. And listen, just thanks to absolutely everyone that's ever accompanied me on this journey. And you know what? I never say this enough. Thank you to Ash for just being the guy when everyone else walked out of the room when I tried to start a wrestling fan club up in school, to actually come back in and go, yeah, I like the Ultimate Warrior as well. So thank you, Ash.
Yeah, honestly, me and Ash went our separate ways, but I'll say, I've got a lot of fond memories of the guy, and he always worked hard for me. So if you're listening, Ash, I'll still love you, baby.
Put you over, mate.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Remember, always touch the penis.
Always do a Hutchins.
So I think this episode's going to be called Phil's Penis.
Tremendous.
There you go. Over and out.
From the man whose wife has a broken badger, thanks to Doug Williams, this is Stiff Right Hand.
Right, Stu Allen here, back on Stiff Right Hand. That was my interview with Phil Bedwell. Very good interview it was as well. You didn't know that, have you?
No. No, do you know what? Because I got the fucking ump about this, because I'd have been a better interviewer than that bloody Liam was, and yet you dusted him out from the bloody pile of washing from which he came.
Liam was actually very good on that interview.
Well, I don't care, because he's stupid and his face is stupid and everyone is stupid except me.
No, you did very well, and I want to have it. I want to have it.
What?
I want to have it.
Why don't you just marry Liam then?
We're going down tomorrow. We've got a long weekend, haven't we? So fucking...
Yeah, we're going to that Norwich.
We've got a long ball-arsing drive down to Norwich.
I'm going to take my DS and play Mario.
We're going to see all our good friends there, the Knight family and Mr. Scott Hall. And
hey yo.
And we're taking out hey yo.
Hey yo.
Do you mind if I smack your ass?
Yes, I do.
Hey baby doll. Do you mind if I just punch you in the cunt? Scott, that's so very nice.
Yeah, Scott.
So now we're going to see those guys. We've got the ladies' show tomorrow night. We're all wrestling Sammy Baines.
The ladies' show.
The ladies' show.
The ladies' show. I'm a probably going to have a fisticuffs about our crochet.
Alright, we're just going to have a wrestling show tomorrow night where you're wrestling once again Sammy Baines for the 200th time.
Again, yeah.
Like it wasn't bad enough the first time around.
know, right?
We're going to have it again. So no, it's going to be... I always look forward to the Bellatrix shows. They're awesome. So don't try and pull me up on that shit, for fuck's sake. I'm fucking champion women's wrestling more than anyone else in this country.
You like it,
No, I don't like it. I put up with it. And then, of course, it's the men's show. There you go. So
hey, look at my face.
Stupid.
You married me on purpose.
Brilliant.
So who's the loser here?
Yeah. Still me.
Still you. Double you.
And then we're going to be going the guys show.
Why are you playing with...
Didgeridoo there?
Why did you do that? That was literally with a tinfoil tube. I'm baffled.
That was fucking ace.
No, I'm.
So listen, look.
I'm still confused.
I've got a match with. I'm hurting already, and I haven't even done the match yet. They've taken me out of my comfort zone and put me in a fucking match with.
That's a good match.
Some cunt called Liam Smedley. I've never heard of.
Snickets that we've never heard
Liam
of.
Smedley is some fucking clumsy MMA cunt who better keep his head down or he's getting a fucking smack in the chops. My old tag partner, I'm looking forward to seeing him more than anything actually, Darren Walsh. We were the overlords in FWA, Thunder and Dominator, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Darren because I haven't seen him in fucking years. He's a real good old friend of mine, so that's going to be awesome. And in the ring with him and Demolition Davis.
Oh, what's that?
You shouldn't have given me a flavor bar. Let me get all my shit in. I'm going to do a flippy floppy fly off the top rope.
My favourite thing, interaction with Demolition Davis,
is when
was
he's
that time.
asleep.
No, was that time that I punched him so hard his extensions flew off.
Make sure you do it again. Fucking.
My extensions flew off.
You stepped on my flavor bar.
Sorry, mate. Not sorry.
No, he's a huge,
nice guy,
fucking blancmange of a man, but can he move? So that's going to be interesting. That's on the afternoon show. Fuck knows what we're doing on the evening show.
Who knows?
They never tell us, but I'll bet you damn Sam Lee's going to be in it.
Oh, Sam Lee's going to be involved. Maybe Keith.
But what I'll do, I'll probably be taking this up there and getting some interviews like I did last time, and bothering everyone and pissing people off with my questions. So there you go. So look, it's been a long episode. It's been real, man. Thanks for all the questions you sent in. Feel free to send some more in if you do wish. Anything from you before we fuck off?
I want to fuck off.
Oh, alright. There you go. Let's fuck off then.
Oh, my dinner.
And, yeah, that's all from us.
It's been emotional.
You've been Tony Allen. I've been Stuart Allen. For those listening, don't go mental.
Yeah, don't do that.
Goodbye.
Bye.
If you have been affected by another subject matter or topics covered on this week's Stiff Right Hand podcast, please call 0800 Go Fuck Yourself.